Name is Matt Breight. I'm a Vice President, Alternate Group Manager with the Environmental Services Department. I've been with the bank for 15 years. Informal coaching for us in my department is a part of everyday life. It's ongoing, consistent communication built on really long-term relationships. It's just a natural part of our conversation ongoing, whether it's before or after a loan committee presentation, before or after a customer call, even just at lunch or out to dinner. It's consistently seeking and providing feedback. It's to be open and honest with people with the right intentions that you're trying to help and they're trying to help you, and being able to receive and act upon that. It's hard to think about a specific coaching opportunity just because it's such a part of everyday life. In what I've been through, it's my 15 years at the bank. I've had great managers and mentors, and it's just, we have great relationships, so it's just a natural part of everyday conversation. So to think of just one, it's actually difficult. Right. It's from after a call, just talking, sitting down. We travel a lot, so sitting at the hotel bar, having a drink, and just reflecting on the day's customer call. It's calling my boss on the drive in the morning, and just talking to him about the day and prepping and figuring out how we're going to attack the day. It's after loan committee, just debriefing after a loan committee presentation. What went well? What do we need to do better? So it's interesting. There's not one specific time that sits out. Just it's ongoing.
Great. It just felt awkward.
Probably the approach that works least is if it's a specific conversation that is targeted. Hey, come into my office. Let's talk about this. And then it's more attacking. You know, it's more negative. For me, it always helps to, hey, you did this, and this right, but here's a couple things you might have done differently. And I find that works for my team as well, as if it's get in here and it's all negative. You should have done this. You should have done this. Why'd you make this mistake? It immediately puts people on the defensive. So try to be positive is the best approach that we find when you're attacking. That's usually when people are resistant to what you're trying to say.
Yeah, sure.
When I'm working with my team, I try to provide both positive and constructive criticism. I find that whenever it's just negative constructive criticism, that people become defensive. And so I always like to say, compliment, you did this, and this right. And if I were you might want to think about, I don't like to tell people order, but suggest you might want to think about how you could have done something differently. And I find that works best for me as well.
Right. Now when you're sitting down,
certainly, we're big believers in writing everything down in my department. So we always have little notepads with agenda items that it's do this, I want to hit this point, this point, and this point. And then you just work it into casual conversation. I never whip out my notebook and check. It's study it, know it, and then just have a casual, regular person conversation about it.
right, if it was,
Sure, I always try to solicit feedback to understand that we're on the same page. So we'll go through things and say, okay, what do you think? I don't say, did you get what I was saying? What do you think? Do you think that makes sense?
yeah,
And allow them to regurgitate that back to me.
great, if than the other.
For formal coaching, we do very little in our department. It's more during the annual review, the performance plan setting, and then the interims. It seems that the informal, there's more follow through, and it's brought in to be a part of everyday life, versus the formal, it's an hour-long discussion, and then it's not followed up on or discussed again for another quarter or 6 months or a year, depending on what the topic is. So when you're informal, it seems it becomes a lot more part of everyday life than the formal stuff.
Easier to integrate, easier to
Right.
make it.
And it's ongoing. With the informal, it's ongoing, where typically on the formal, you don't have that ongoing follow-up.
Yeah.
As far as recognition, personally, what I like is just a simple, undisclosed, handwritten note that arrives. It's not public. Most of us, we work hard, but we're not in it for the glory. We're not in it for the spotlight. So most of us prefer just kind of informal, casual, thank you emails, thank you notes, some positive one-on-one feedback. My team, as far as public displays of appreciation or success, that's not something that appeals to us or is a part of our everyday life.
Okay.
It's a junior lender. It's a brand new lender that came out of the bank's analyst program.
Correct.
It's not an analyst. I'm talking to a lender and coaching a lender.
Versus seasoned.
Sure. The coaching is very situational, depending on the individual's expertise. My relationship with them, if it's a seasoned lender, where I'm going to have a deeper relationship, and the expectations, quite honestly, are different. It might be a lot more blunt. It might be a lot more forward, versus a junior lender. They're probably going to be a little bit more sensitive to information. So from a coaching standpoint, it's definitely ongoing with a junior lender. It's a lot of follow-up, and so you really have to curtail that coaching depending on the situation and the skill set of the individual.
Great.
Whenever, I guess it's very personality based. We have to look at the individual. Some of the individuals in our department, they appreciate straightforward, very direct conversations. And so for those people, certainly you are taking a different approach with providing coaching and even receiving coaching. I realize if they're giving me feedback and they're a peer, they have a personality and a way of delivering, and I have to be open in receiving that. Not maybe they're being very direct with me, and it's not personal. It's just how they react or how they act. And the same thing when I'm giving feedback. It's oftentimes, how does this person respond? Do they look for more direct, or do they look for sugarcoat and soft? Not, I don't know if sugarcoat's the right term, but softly delivering a certain message. And maybe it's a difficult message, but you have to tone it down a little bit for your audience.
Great.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. That was great. Sound get a specific.
From a
without
coaching,
naming names.
from a, yeah.
Yeah, from a coaching. Good. Bob is a jerk.
Joe Buddige. They'll get- that's
He rolled into my office, kicked open the door. But
There's more certain individuals in their approach that stand out. So early on in my career, one of my mentors, he had a very positive, take it all in and maintain the right perception. So right or wrong, it was nothing that was ever not overcomable. It was nothing, there was nothing you could say or do or that he wants to throw the chair. And so that type of coaching where he kept things in perspective, he always took things in stride, he always remained positive, that always resonated with me and something that I've adopted into to my life and both my professional and personal career, where it's more about the attitude that you take than what's actually happened to you.